The third major story in recent memory about the opioid crisis, and the second in just about 2 months on Netflix. Emily Blunt stars in Pain Hustlers. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Netflix film Pain Hustlers. This follows in the line of a couple of mini-series that we've had over the past year or so. Dope Sick on Hulu, sort of the crown jewel of this sort of theme. And then just a couple of months ago, we had Pain Killers on Netflix, which was also a miniseries. This one is a film, and we're going to talk about the ins and the outs of this and my thoughts on it in just a moment. First, though, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got TV and movie reviews galore for you to check out. I try to post something new just about every day, so lots to check out. Please consider subscribing in that regard, and would love to have you aboard there. Or if you're already a subscriber, or if you don't want another subscription to your YouTube page, just like this video or comment down below. All that stuff does help the channel out as well. All right, so this is called Pain Hustlers, and this takes an interesting sort of twist on it, because in Dope Sick and Painkillers, it was more about the victims of the opioid crisis. And yes, we met a lot of the people involved with the wheeling and dealing of the pills, but it was, the emotional center and all of that was sort of the victims. Here, this is largely just about the, for all intents and purposes, dealers. The people in the pharmaceutical industry that were, doling out some of this stuff. And this is not about, those two things I mentioned, Dope Sick and Painkillers, were about this specific group, the Sackler family and all of that. This is a little bit different in that regard, but it's still kind of keeping with that same theme. Emily Blunt stars as a fictitious person named Liza Drake. And essentially, she is, a high school dropout, kind of going from job to job, but has a daughter, so wants to provide for her. Catherine O'Hara plays her mom, Jackie. And she ends up, falling kind of backwards into this pharmaceutical job with a startup in Central Florida. And, she finds herself then at the center of this, big criminal thing with, obviously deadly consequences with the opioid crisis. So we're not dealing exactly with, the same drug as those other things. The Sackler family's not involved in this. But it's certainly got a lot of the same themes. Chris Evans is here, as well as Pete Brenner, one of her co-workers, and then Andy Garcia as one of the heads of the place. So, boy, I love Emily Blunt. We'll start there. She hasn't missed too many times, and I don't think she's necessarily the thing that is missing here either. But she is the only thing even remotely keeping this thing together. I will admit her American accent does take a little bit to get used to. I'm sure we have to have heard that before somewhere, right? She's done so many movies, and one of them she had to play somebody American, but I can't quite remember in that regard. But she's always great. And she is very good here, but boy, the material lets her down around every bend. But she tries, and she certainly attempts to hold it together. I think certain people are a bit miscast. I think Catherine O'Hara is kind of out of place here. Look, I've not seen Catherine O'Hara do a ton of drama, if any. And I'm all for people sort of branching out and stuff, but and she's fine in the role. But, because she's only known for comedy, in my book anyway, I think this was a tough one to kind of dive into with the drama. And like I said, I'm sure she's done drama before that maybe I just haven't seen. But so she feels a little bit out of place here. And Chris Evans is okay. Boy, his non-Marvel stuff, it's kind of like Robert Downey Jr. the last, 10 or 15 years. The non-Marvel stuff is sort of missing for me a little bit. For Downey Jr., it was like the Dr. Dolittle movie, and The Soloist was like okay. But for Chris Evans, he had that horrible movie earlier this year, Ghosted, with Amanda Armas. There was like no chemistry there. Here, like Knives Out, he was great in. Of course, I'll give him that. Everybody was good in Knives Out. But, look, the problem here is not the acting. I keep focusing on, the actors because that's the easiest thing to say because we've seen them in so many things. But here, the problem really is not only the script, but the handling of the script. These people are supposed to be sort of coming off, and Emily Blunt's character especially, supposed to be coming off as, kind of the victim here, and I get sort of what they're saying. Look, the pharmaceutical companies lied to their employees as well. I understand that, but not having really any specific victims as Dopesick did. And look, Dopesick is much better than Painkiller on Netflix or Killers or whatever. But at the very least, that also showed the victims and stuff and really kind of the destruction of lives here. And here we don't quite see that. Like, yeah, okay, the Emily Blunt character is, down on her luck and kind of broke and looking for work. And so in that regard, okay, maybe she fell into something she didn't quite understand what it was. And I get that. But the handling of the subject matter is it's just all over the place tonally. And they do go for a little bit of comedy too, and like this party vibe, party atmosphere within the company, without sort of the other side of that those miniseries showcased. And I think that was a huge mistake. David Yates is the director here, most known for a few of the Harry Potter films, and then I think he directed all of the Fantastic Beasts films, which are real hit or miss for me. The Harry Potter stuff is good, although I think he directed the last four movies. 5 and 6 are probably my least favorite ones in the Harry Potter series, but whatever. That's I'm not as much of a Potterhead as some, so maybe I'm speaking out of school there. But this to me just seemed like taking every trope that we already saw in the other things, and it's so bizarre to me. This was produced by Netflix. And I understand, okay, those were both miniseries, Dopesick and Painkillers, so you were able to be more invested in the victims and all that stuff. But, here it's like we see kind of one or two, but we don't know them at all. Like they're just sort of random people, and that could be effective too, I guess, because it's like, oh, it could be anybody, it could be your brother, whatever. But it's just like a person at a car dealership, and his tooth falls out. It's like, but I don't know who that person is. It was just a bizarre sort of muddling of what has already been told a couple of different times in better ways. And I didn't even love Painkillers that much. I gave that a C minus. Dopesick for me was like an A minus, an A by the end of the year. But this falls definitely more into that latter category, and I think potentially even a bit worse than that, because of sort of the mishandling of the topic, I felt. So look, Emily Blunt's trying to keep it together, and her performance is very good, as it always is. She really never misses in that regard. But boy, the projects need to be better than this for sure. I leave Pain Hustlers with a C minus. Could have been much worse without Emily Blunt. That's for sure. But we'll leave it there. We'll see where it lands by the end of the year. The more I think about it, D plus could be coming. But look, Blunt's performance is strong. She's not going to be nominated for any awards or anything, but she definitely holds it together, as she sort of needs to with everything else going on. So that will do it for the review. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. We'll see you next time. Bye.